Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. A very good afternoon to all the viewers. I'm Hiral Dadia. An interesting day of trade as well, where we were able to actually scale a high of 19,867. And we have corrected some bit around a 40 points correction from the day's highest level spot. What's interesting to know is that we're able to maintain those 19,800 levels already in trade. If you see in terms of Bank Nifty as well, almost a 0.6% up move coming in there. We scaled a high of 45,383, and now we are hovering around those 45,150 levels. So some bit of a correction coming in there as well. Joining us on the show to discuss more in terms of what's in store, we have Bala. Jay, good afternoon and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on the show, Hiral. Good to be here.
Always a pleasure. Jay, markets have witnessed a splendid weekly expiry session this week. Clearly we've soared above the bearish gap on the daily time frame as well. There is robust buying that we have been witnessing. What's the sense that we pick up? Because clearly, the bottom is shifting higher slightly.
That's correct, Hiral. And if you recall from our August 3rd interaction, I had mentioned that the Nifty is bound to correct slightly deeper than what it has done. And the market seems to be putting in resilience, despite the fact that there is a breakdown in the global indices, particularly the US tech stocks. And the markets are exhibiting a little bit of resilience, and it's trying to outperform. And the slightly medium-term outlook was the markets were to drop to the corrective levels and then come back to record highs. The markets wants to do that in a slightly shallower fashion. And as long as the indices, particularly the broader Nifty, if it can hold up above 19,550, I think fresh record highs are on the cards.
Right. So do you think we are looking at, say, 20,000 or a little over 20,000 already in September?
Yeah, 20,500 is the objective. But, the fact that the markets are coming up from a shallower level is actually, is a double interpretation. Bullish in the short term, and slightly momentum is slower than anticipated. So that could basically project the targets to lower levels rather than much higher levels than 20,500. So we'll conservatively observe the markets are trying to head towards 20,500 only as long as they stay above 19,550.
Right. It's interesting to see how Bank Nifty has been moving as well, because yesterday's session, specifically the second half, was pretty much encouraging because the bullish momentum only picked up in the second half. There was strong buying activity in terms of Bank Nifty, and that seems to have continued as well in today's session, because we are above those 45,000 levels already. What's the sense that you pick up? Do you think Bank Nifty will also participate?
Yeah, the Bank Nifty is actually the weaker sector, and that is looking like it's going to provide the weakness for the corrective move. But that's also perking up in the last couple of sessions. 45,238 was an important resistance. The markets have put in an intraday clock of that level, but we'll see. If the market can take out 45,727, I think the markets, the Bank Nifty could also join the party and try to push past the July highs that we saw a couple of years ago.
Okay. So from here on, which are the stocks, according to you, that would actually participate in this rally to scale new heights?
See, it's clearly the BSE Capital Goods Index that's leading the way, and that's the strongest, and Larsen in particular within the space is leading the markets higher. So the weakest were supposed to be banks, FMCG, and autos, but the leadership is coming from BSE Capital Goods and autos. Autos is actually, instead of being weak, it's actually turning a positive.
Okay. So if you have to look at stocks like, say, a PFC REC, strong momentum in today's session. With that, you have a Tata Power as well. So that power pack seems to be pretty strong. We are seeing long build up on these names. What should the strategy be?
Yeah, the momentum is slightly lower for REC, but the moves which seems a bit incomplete. And even if you look at Tata Power, which has been a laggard for quite some time, that is actually breaking through to fresh record highs. So for the higher highs to come through for Tata Power, but be a bit cautious when it comes to REC and PFC.
Okay. How are you looking at a Havells in trade today?
Well, that's my favorite at the moment, and I've been bullish on it for several weeks now. And the momentum is very strong. OA buildup is quite strong, and I believe further highs towards 1600, 1650 is likely in the next couple of days.
Okay. How is the pharma pack looking? Because we are seeing some short positions being added. You have the likes of a Glenmark, Torrent, as well as a Lupin. What should the strategy be?
See, Pharma index is actually going through a short-term correction. From a medium-term perspective, it's got further higher highs to come through. The levels of 15,000 on the Nifty Pharma index, 15,400. So it's a pretty important level. I think it's one of the strongest, in my opinion, amongst the sectoral indices, and I think it will hold above the recent low of 4,900. Whatever we're seeing is probably a buying opportunity. I like Dr. Lal Path at current levels, and it's probably going to hold the recent levels of 2156, and then once it can go past 2263, I think it has potential to scale 2600 odds.
Right. How are you looking at a BHEL? Because we are seeing some bit of a short covering rally coming in on a BHEL. What should the strategy be?
Yeah, it's still got very strong momentum, and I don't think it's exhausted its move. As long as the stock can stay above 130, 135, I think further higher highs are set to come through. The short covering is fueling further higher highs for the stock, and I believe 160, 170 is on the cards.
Right. From the large cap names, a few of the other counters that come to your radar from a volume and a price perspective, which is actually moving in trade today, one of the counters is a Coal India. Momentum in terms of Coal India also has been pretty strong over the last couple of trading sessions. How are you looking at it? I mean, today as well, it's the top gainer on Nifty.
Yeah, the stock has gone vertical, so that's the only drawback as well as the positive. So it doesn't provide an entry opportunity if you haven't gotten around the 240 levels. So if the stock is an ideal entry on pullbacks, but the corrections could be as sharp as the rise. So wait for some dust to settle if you haven't already got it. But I think the stock is likely to hold on to 270, 265 levels. So that might be the re-entry point there.
Okay. Apart from the names that we've discussed, Jay, anything that comes to your radar which could be good investment opportunities?
Yeah, Havells, you took the words out of my mouth. I still think that's a good bet. But again, most of the stocks are a bit late here. Persistent is still a bet for me. I mean, I've been bullish on it since July now, and I don't think it's done its move. So that Persistent from the IT space is a good candidate there, and even as I said, from the capital goods space, Larsen is still a good bet.
Okay. How are you looking at the IRCTC? Because today we are seeing some strong open interest addition. Volumes are also pretty strong. And the stock is seeing some great moves. I mean, again, it's one of the newsmakers.
Yeah, again, today's price action is looking like an exhaustive price move. But further higher highs might come through somewhere close to 800 levels. But I don't see too much of risk reward possibilities here. So it's an avoid at current levels. Most of the railway stocks, they have further higher highs to come through, but that might be the final sequence of the move that started from April of this year. So it's pretty late, and some of the stocks are showing signs of exhaustion. So it's an avoid for fresh levels, but you can trail with existing stop losses.
Right. Jay, to see this kind of up move in terms of markets, the contribution from the likes of a HDFC, Reliance, for that matter, even a TCS and Infosys becomes absolutely crucial. Last 2 to 3 trading sessions, you have seen that contribution which is coming from the likes of an HDFC Bank, Reliance, as well as an L&T. How do you think are these stocks expected to move? Because say a Nifty is 1% away from its life high levels, right? What's the kind of
Yeah.
move you're anticipating on these names? Because contribution is going to be interesting to see.
See, the Nifty IT is a little bit of providing a little bit of conflicting signals. I think the maximum upside from the 26,184 levels of April is coming to about 34K for me. So that is a little bit of upside for Infosys and TCS, but the medium term doesn't encourage further higher highs for the stock. So I'm a bit cautious over there when it comes to frontline IT names. Reliance to it's going to be range bound with a slightly bullish bias, but I think the main contributions are going to come from auto stocks and capital goods name, and so we should keep our focus over there. These names that you have discussed right now, they seems to be laggard from the and they could be underperforming. So keep your focus on the stronger sectors.
And then what about HDFC Bank?
Yeah, most of the banking names, surprisingly, except Axis, are looking like they don't have much upsides to provide with. But the most significant resistance for HDFC Bank comes at about 1629. So, provided that is taken out, you might see a little bit of upside somewhere close to 1700. But I don't think it has potential for fresh record highs past 1775. But it's a bump up in the short-term corrective move.
Right. So I think these are names that one could probably avoid as well. Then thank you, Jay, so much for joining us on the show and sharing the views. But clearly, the momentum is there in terms of where markets are concerned. 20,000 is not too far away, and we're just probably 1% away from the life is in terms of Nifty 50 as well. Good participation coming in from Bank 50, wherein Bank 50 itself is outperforming the benchmark in the season trade, and the breadth is in favor of the bulls. Coal India, one of the top gainers today, NTPC, BPCL, Tata Motors, as well as an L&T, which is seeing gains of 2%, whereas on the losing end, you have Ultratech Cement, iSure, UPL, Apollo Hospitals, as well as an ITC. If you see in terms of the broader markets as well, it's an interesting move that we are seeing, because you have names like a GT Infra, PFC, Sobha, which are seeing some spot moves, but MTC, Dish TV trading under pressure, MTNL trading under pressure as well. So again, that sector rotation is interesting. A lot of the sectors which were laggards are actually picking up steam now. And it's overall the journey to 20,000 that again people have started to eye as well. That's all that we have on this session. Thanks for watching, and lots more lined up on the other side. Please stay tuned to BQ Prime and have a great weekend.